You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello, today is Thursday the 12th of June 2025 and you're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. And it's barely 12 hours since I did yesterday's because I had to do yesterday's very late and I've decided to do today's now. In fact, I nearly did it a couple of hours ago. So I was kind of thinking yesterday about how I would play today and I decided and I did it. So today I woke up about 8 o'clock. I slept very, very well because I was really, really tired yesterday. I'd slept very badly the night before and then had a full working day on top of it. I mean, luckily I'd had a coffee or something. I'd had a coffee before I drove home, which I think was very sensible because I think if I hadn't done that, I don't know if I would have been fit to drive home. And it's happened before. And when I realised I'm not fit to drive and I pull over and have like a power nap or something, and that normally does the trick. But no, I got home all right last night, and today I got up at 8 o'clock, and before 9 o'clock I was live streaming, and I managed to do the work I needed to do on chapter 26 of Empress of the Trees. So I read through it as part of my live stream, and didn't have to change very much at all. I think there's a couple of bits I clarified, a couple of bits I tidied up, but generally very, very happy with that chapter. And it's interesting because the book is divided up into 5 segments. The first one is called Aurore, which is the name of the tree Norn that represents the past. And it's the one that shows Ronnie growing up. Well, not shows her growing up. It's got her as a very young kid in the prologue. And then it's got her basically at the end of school and going to university. And we learn a little bit about her background and some mysteries around it. Part 2 is called Veroandi, which represents the present. And it's all about Ronnie kind of finding out why she was created, because she wasn't born, she was created. Why she was created, what she has to do. And then the early stages of her doing those things. Stage 3, I think, is called Skuld. Skuld is the Norn that represents the future. In my book, we actually get to see what that future is going to be like and how it's going to be shaped. And that's the segment that I finished signing off today. So I think the first is only 6 chapters. The second takes you up to chapter 16, so it's 10 chapters. And then this one takes you up to chapter 26, so it's another 10 chapters. It's not deliberately that even. And believe me, because the next one is more like 13, I think. So I think the next segment, which is called Ragnarok, because I've named the three tree Norns by then as sections of the book. That's the bit I need to edit next, and that's basically where everything goes wrong. So it turns out the sort of cliffhanger at the end of the previous chapter is that they discover that they thought the trees were trying to give them an opportunity to say, that humanity thought the trees were trying to give them an opportunity to prove that they could be less destructive and an opportunity to save themselves. And then right at the end of the third bit of the book, we find out there are 2 factions within the trees, only one that wants humanity to be given the chance to prove itself. The other one just thinks they should go straight to wiping them out. And unfortunately, because of the interference of some people in the book, which obviously I can't tell you too much about, but because of the way it's gone, it's now looking like the Ragnarok faction may have the upper hand. And in the 4th section of the book, they get the upper hand. Something happens that makes them effectively decide, no, we're just going to wipe out humanity. And it's a kind of a desperate race to prove to them that we're not that bad. I can't really explain how, because it is quite complicated and convoluted. But it ends up being a race against time to reach a particular tree that has been deliberately separated from the tree network by my bad guy. Unfortunately, at the time, that tree contained the essence, the spirit of the leader of the Ragnarok faction. So as far as everybody else within the trees is concerned, it's been killed or removed, and now they're furious. And they're like, well, if they can do that to one of us, then no, they don't deserve to survive. So it's all very race against timey, and I'm not going to say how it ends, but that's the big chunk of the book. I mean, I worked out the first 3 segments are 145,000 words. The last segment is about 25,000 words. I haven't explained what that is yet, which means segment 4 is about 100,000 words. So it's much longer than any other bit of the book, I think. So yes, that's the bit I'm about to do the editing on. So I've edited over half the book now. I'm at about 145,000 words, which means I've got 125 left to go through. So the 4th section, the one I'm about to start editing, is called Ragnarok. Things are not good for the human race. Well, you know what Ragnarok is. And then the final section is called Yggdrasil, which is the character effectively in the story, the Empress of the Trees, as named in the title of the book. And it's all about what happens at the end, basically, because some humans do survive, and it's about the life they have afterwards. And that's about 25,000 words long, as I kind of explained. Was it yesterday on here or today on the live stream? I can't remember. But basically, it was meant to be a quick epilogue that lasted about 8,000 words, and I suddenly realised I had so many things I needed to resolve. If I did the time jump, because it was going to be set 6 months down the line, or 6 months down the line from Ronnie's personal experience, which probably meant more like 3.5 years down the line. And I suddenly felt I was shortchanging people, and that actually there were certain things, like when Ronnie wakes up, how does she feel? How does she react when she finds out that Gordon Oakley sacrifices himself to save her, which she didn't know because she was very unconscious by that point. So it's I've reached that point. So I set myself a target of editing 10 chapters this month. I had a really fast start, but over the last few days I've been very tired and jet lagged and struggled to do any, but I've done that today. So chapter 26 is signed off, so there's only another 4 that I technically have to, well, I don't have to, but that I would like to sign off by the end of this month to hit the target that I've set myself. I think I will do that. Now, in theory, I'm working but not working tonight, so I'm doing a thing called positioning, whereby I'm being flown somewhere so that I can work on the flight back in a couple of days' time. And my plan is to do a bit more work today. I'm in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you can do Twitch streams in Saudi Arabia, so I might do is just all the screen work on those last 4 chapters, which will hopefully then leave me those 4 chapters to sign off over the next few days. So we shall see. Anyway, I should have stopped at 6 minutes. I need to get better at doing that. That's me for today. The next time you speak to me should be from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, assuming I can upload it okay. I don't know what the rules are or what, assuming I can, you will hear from me tomorrow from there. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.